Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back from the ad break. You are still watching Prime Life. Now, this evening we are joined by Robin Willer, an international speaker, and he will be talking to us about the importance of writing skills. Now, Robin has achieved personal successes and helped countless of other individuals to also, be people who are, actually good writers so that they can professionally succeed in life. Now, we are going to be speaking about how one can harness the magic of writing to fuel your professional success and personal fulfillment. This is going to be a fantastic interview. I'm looking forward to it. But Robin is joining us on Zoom and he is ready to speak to us. Thank you so much, Robin Willer, for joining us on Prime Life, and welcome.
Salam, good evening, everybody. Evening, Aisha. Lovely to be back on your show.
Lovely to have you tonight. Now, can we speak about the power of writing, and can you please explain on how one can achieve success through this?
Well, writing is like speaking. It's something we all need to do. In another way, it's like painting or music, something that's more specialized for other people, not the mainstream. But in one very important way, it's really a fundamental life skill, like being able to express yourself verbally as well. So it's a really important life skill and a very important business skill, but it's also a skill that makes you a better human being, because by improving your writing, you're constantly working on yourself. So I really recommend it to everybody as a life skill, a business skill, and a personal growth device.
And let's just dissect more into the topic itself about how essential is it that one has strong writing skills for their career, regardless of the field that you work in. Because someone might argue to say, why do I need writing skills? If, for example, I'm an engineer or I'm an electrician, like what does this have to do with my career? So can you maybe highlight the need for writing skills in those professions?
Certainly. Look, there are obviously writing specific careers like being a writer or a copywriter, but any career depends on writing. An engineer would need to express herself, put proposals together. A lawyer needs writing, and anything to do with leadership. The more you move into a leadership position, the more you need speaking and writing skills. So it really is a very important thing to do to get you further in your career and also to support your success as you progress. And as I said, it's something that makes you a better person. So if you work on it as such, it really becomes something you enjoy. But you need to remember that, just a comma can make a huge difference in a legal contract. And the way you express yourself, it really matters, especially at higher levels. But if you're in sales, for example, which is a very common area of career, writing can make a tremendous difference to you. And it's highly pleasurable. It really is the most satisfying experience as well. So it's a win-win all the way through.
Definitely. Now, what do you think is the secret ingredient that makes writing so effective in influencing others?
Well, firstly, you're aware within yourself. That's why I keep saying that it's a personal development tool. Because if your mind is all cloudy and you're all over the place, that's going to come through in your communication, and that's going to either miscommunicate or frustrate people or slow things down. But if you really know what you're thinking and feeling and know how to articulate that, you really have an advantage in the marketplace uh, in terms of expressing yourself and connecting with people. And that expressing yourself could be an emotive thing, like an expression of something that connects with people. It could be a very specific, detail dependent thing where you're doing something that really matters in terms of accuracy. And writing comes into it all that way. But I think that people struggle with it because they have had some sort of blocked experience. It's like maybe when you were a child, you went to your mom and said, look what I've just drawn, or look what I've just written. And she was busy making the dinner, and your two siblings were around her. And she wasn't dismissive, but she didn't quite give you that attention you wanted. And you closed down and thought, I can't write. People don't want to hear me. And that's a disproportionately traumatic response to usually quite a minor piece of feedback, and people close down as creative beings musically and in terms of drawing and all of their other talents. But specifically with writing, I get that the most from people is that they say they're not writers, and that's simply not true. It's just a perception and a misperception that needs to be changed. So I'd say that that's the big thing, is to start feeling like a writer and just get going with your natural style. That's the big thing. And then the second thing is to work on that all the time, every day.
And when you help others improve in writing, you obviously come through, or come across a lot of people. And in that, you see the most common mistakes that people usually make when they, often write. What are those mistakes, and how can people overcome them?
Well, I say again, the main one is to not take it seriously enough. Not think of the importance of the communication skill and the power of it, the impact of it, and then to not enjoy it. And then to do it in a sort of routine way that doesn't actually honor the power that you've got at your fingertips, literally. And then I think the other thing that people do is they don't make the effort to learn how to do it properly. When I first started discovering myself as a writer, it wasn't really through much recognition. Like at school, I had the talent for it, but it wasn't really encouraged. And then at university, I did well because I wrote. I think writing really helped me do better than I might have done otherwise, which proves the power of it. And then in the working world, I started to see, right, okay, this is where I've got an advantage over people. I can see people, really good professionals around me, struggling to express themselves in writing, and I was often asked to help them, and I could see the difference that I made to their work. But even then, I still had to. It was only when I started my own business that I started writing for the newspapers and got feedback from that. And then it really kicked in for me there. And what I did is I went back to my old high school language textbooks, and I just learned the fundamentals again, but with interest and with passion. So I see people make all sorts of minor grammatical errors that have a major impact on how they come across. And that's where I say, really get into it in terms of the value, really enjoy it and use your own natural style, and then make that effort to learn the right way of doing things, punctuation, the right words. That really makes you a better person and a much more powerful brand.
And let's speak about finding inspiration to write even when you don't feel motivated. How does one do that?
Yeah, look, that comes to that age-old thing of writer's block. And I don't get writer's block because of exactly what you're asking there. I write what I feel. So even if I've got a formal document, a proposal, or a report or something technical to do, it either just flows from me, which means I'm in the right space and it's ready to be expressed, or it's brewing, in which case you must understand the creative process. Things need to come together. Creative tension is quite an uncomfortable thing. As a writer, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like troubled, It's like the wind has blown in the night and my inner waters are stirred. And then because I've got experience, I know, okay, that's inspiration. Let me start writing. But what I do, if I do feel stuck or if I feel there's no inspiration, is you can go for a walk or do something in nature or creative, or put music on, or just sort of tune in and sort of say to the piece of writing, look, I'm ready for you, come through. And then when it comes, respond. But the trick I would suggest, if all of that doesn't work, is write what you're feeling. Look out the window, see that bird that lands on the branch, and express something that's immediate and childlike and playful. And as that starts to flow, you'll get to the technical stuff. So write what you want to write, and there'll be no block.
Do you think or believe that writing is for everyone? Is this something that anyone can just start doing, or is it something that it's a talent and you need to be born with it?
Yeah, so I think for some of us, we're definitely blessed with a talent, although that can be a curse if you don't develop your talent. If you don't, I write every day, and if I don't write, things go awry. It's one of my sayings is, if I'm not writing, things go awry. So it's a flow that you get into. And, if you're a talented person for it, if you don't actually grow your talent and nurture your talent, that's going to backfire on you and force you into writing eventually. But for most people, it's really just a wonderful, accessible, practical way to live a creative life, to just learn how to express yourself in a way that really is an evolution in every attempt, everything you do, whether you're sending a short text message or writing a short social media post or responding to an email or actually writing a proposal. Make it a creative process where you feel like an artist, put your love into it. And then the most important thing then is to edit, because once you've expressed yourself and done the creative articulation side, you need to come back and refine that. And some people will argue that the real writing actually happens in your second and third draft. And again, that's where I say being impeccable as a human being, constantly working on being the best person you can be. Writing is a tool for that, and it really works. It's very satisfying when your writing grows and you get to do what you do much more effectively.
And in terms of let's maybe have you share with us the practical tips for one to be able to harness the power of writing so that they can drive their own success and fulfillment. What are the steps that one can start taking, even if they're small, so that one can be successful in this writing thing?
Super. Well, I'd say some people like to get up in the morning and just start writing. I think that's a very powerful thing. Another form of that would say to be do journaling, which is just write all the time as part of your day, maybe to start the day as a meditation, sort of clear your head and get into the zone for a clear and creative day. Keep a notebook with you. I just write on my phone. I say, I do a lot of photography and use that in my social media and my creative work. And that's simply a function of having a mobile device, having a camera in my pocket. And I'm the same with my writing. I've written probably 25 of my books on my phone because it's right there. And I just write emails to myself. I write everything. So if I have an idea, I honor that idea and I write it down. I've got an email folder of a drafts folder, so I'll have like one-liners that I write. And when you honor your writing, it responds to that. It comes to you more. So just put everything down. Keep maybe a handwritten notebook next to you. If you're working on a book, go and buy a special notebook that you allocate specifically for that. And whenever the ideas come to you, jot them down and just keep honoring your writing. And then when you get a chance to work on it in a more crafted way, really enjoy that. Get stuck into it and enjoy it. But make writing a complete part of your life. And with that, then it really just flows from there.
I mean, a lot of people look at writing as a niche. Some would argue to say it's not for everyone, and I don't know where to start, and I'm not really. I mean, this is not something that I would do. Why should everyone? Just before we let you go, why should everyone, regardless of their career path, invest in developing their writing skills?
Well, again, on a career level, it pretty much applies everywhere. And even if you don't write for your career, you'll still be a better person. But in terms of the way life happens these days, everybody is managing their personal profiles on social media. And not only is that a great place to practice, but that's actually where you are building your personal brand, And by doing your writing in that way, I've seen people who, A, didn't feel like they were writers, B, were not really very effective writers, and C, were very resistant to it. And I've seen through my coaching of them, and sometimes you've got to push people, you've got to nudge them, can be a bit confrontational, but I've seen people flourish through their writing, and I can see their writing now is absolutely brilliant. We're all brilliant within. It's just about cleaning those channels and developing those skills so that what's inside and what's outside can connect optimally. I couldn't recommend it more.
I mean, Mr. Robin Wheeler, thank you so much for joining us on Prime Life and just for giving us insight and educating us on the importance of, writing skills and how this can impact your success.
It's a great pleasure. Lovely to be here.
Thank you so much. Viewers at home, that was Robin Wheeler, who was just telling us about how can, writing skills fuel professional success. But without wasting any time, let's go to a quick break. We'll see you right after this.